Over the last few months, we've taken a look at several cool knives from the folks at Demko Knives. Well, here at SHOT Show 25, we're going to talk to Andrew Demko himself, kind of tell you how he kind of got started making these cool knives and kind of his backstory. So that's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Survival on Purpose's coverage of the SHOT Show is sponsored by Hog Holsters, helping Americans wear guns, and Excess Sights, the fastest sights in any light. Hog Holsters and Excess Sights, both proudly made in the USA. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose coverage of the 2025 SHOT Show. I'm here with Andrew Demko from Demko Knives. And Andrew, thanks for taking a minute out of your busy schedule to talk to us.
Thank you.
Like I said, we looked at several knives. They all performed flawlessly in our scientific testing process. So I thought it'd be pretty interesting to meet the guy who designs these knives. And you guys are a family business, right?
Yes, we are.
Which I think is cool. So how did you get started in the knife industry to begin
Well,
with?
I was always a knife fanatic as a kid. I always had pocket knives, pen knives, tiny things. 7th grade, we forged chisels in metal shop. And then the instructor's like, hey, this is how you forge knives. You can forge with knives. And so I started playing with knives since then, trying to build forges, grinders, and stuff since I was in 7th grade, and here I am.
So you went to school when they actually had shop?
Yes,
Still
we had
shop.
wood shop and metal shop.
Yeah,
yes,
well,
I did.
So that's a lost art for a lot of kids now. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so your background, you started making knives years ago. You worked for Cold Steel for a while.
I did.
I
worked for Cold Steel for about 17 years as design and prototyping. So there in California, and in my shop in Pennsylvania, which is my little home custom knife shop, we would do not all, but very, very much of the designing. And then we would make samples and send the samples in, and sometimes they change or improve or whatever, and test them out, and then we would take it to production. So I designed a lot of knives, more knives than I can even think of. That I didn't get my name on every knife, but I might have designed like every knife for the last 20 years.
If I understand, you had a hand in the Triad lock.
Yes.
It's a pretty famous lock from Cold Steel.
Yeah.
And Scorpion lock, maybe, is that right?
Scorpion lock, yeah. I think I had about 16 patents that I did with Cold Steel. I think 4 of them I still own now that are my own locking mechanisms. Yeah, I designed a Triad lock, Scorpion lock, Shark lock, Ram Safe lock, a bunch of other ones.
That's cool. And so when did you start Demko Knives, and how did you decide to just go out and actually do it yourself?
Well, I was always a custom knife maker. Not a very good knife maker, just a custom knife maker. And I think it was about 2002, I was at a blade show in Atlanta, a big show every year, and I was selling frame locks. I was making frame locks at the time, fixed blades and frame locks. And that's when I met Cold Steel. The owner, Glenn Thompson, came to the table, and he saw one of my knives that he said, hey, I really like the design. I want to buy it off of you. And I was like, I was pretty young. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. Paid me a modest sum of money for the knife, and a royalty agreement for the piece on it, the pocket opener I had on it. And then from then on, I worked for them for 2 years, freelance, just doing designs and making prototypes for them from their designs. And then I came on full time, and then worked there until they eventually sold 17 years later to GSM. And that's when but the whole time I was still a custom knife maker. So my brother John, he was actually working, he'd work at my home shop, and I'd be going to the Cold Steel shop in downtown Newcastle. I'd see him on the way home and on the way there, and he was making our, machining our 8015 stuff. Yeah. And then eventually, when Cold Steel sold, I just went full steam on Demko Knives.
Because I was talking to John earlier, he said basically that, you guys you're in-house, you're a family operation, that all your Made in the USA stuff, you're making them right there. He's you got your son working with you, you got your family working with you.
Yes.
It's just a really cool.
Yeah, my brother, my son, my sister, my best friend growing up that was in my 7th grade metal shop.
Yeah.
And even my cousin, yeah. So it's a real family business, and all of our American-made stuff, except for the round parts we do, and heat treating, we do everything in the shop in Newcastle.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, because I like supporting American companies. Because I am.
Me
one,
too.
So yeah. So you have a couple of things. Maybe we can't do a knife SHOT Show interview without looking at some knives, right?
Yeah, right on.
So what do we got? That looks like that's glow in the dark.
No, that's just natural G10, but most people do ask if it glows in the dark.
Yeah, it looks like it would.
Yeah, it does. That's the variation of our standard 80-20, and it's kind of have a different handle feel too. And then a new blade for us is that what you call a recurve blade, but we consider it a Copus blade. Some people call it a kukri blade, but it's probably more like a recurve or a copus. And it's the standard 80-20 with then the modified handle and the newest blade, and that is in MagnaCut.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. This is the shark lock, right?
Shark lock,
Yeah.
correct.
And you've seen that on the other knives. This is one that really caught my eye because I like orange knives because I've dropped stuff in the woods.
Yes.
A lot, you know?
So this is an American-made knife. We do import the sheath and the handle from Taiwan. We don't trick anybody. We're not injection molding stuff in my shop in Newcastle.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, but because we had this knife made in Taiwan, I wasn't happy with the price that I was paying Taiwan.
That's why we actually looked at one of these Taiwanese on the channel earlier.
It's a good knife.
Yeah, it is.
It's $75. It was a good knife.
Great, yeah,
But,
great.
I just felt like as my capabilities grew at our shop, we ended up getting a water jet. We got a laser, we got a grinder, we got this, we got that. And I was like, well, we could just make that in-house. And then it's American made. So we bring in, my good friend owns the injection molding factory in Taiwan. So she makes me the handles and the sheaths.
Yeah.
And then we, in-house, we water jet the blades, we grind the blades, do all the processing, send out the heat treat, come back, sharpen, and now you have an American-made knife, the American heat treat. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
American-made steel, and the
MagnaCut.
American-made factory, MagnaCut, heat treated in America.
And what I like about this knife, it is just so. It feels like you want to use it. Like it wants to be used, right? It's lightweight. That's what I said. I think in another video. It just feels like this is a knife that it's almost like it wants to use itself. It kind of guides your hands. It's just so. You need to get one in your hands, man. I promise you, because this is like one of the best feeling knives I've ever used.
Thank you for that.
It really is. I just like it a lot.
I privately take pride. I don't talk about it, but just now, I privately take pride in my handle shapings. Like to me, in my mind, I'm really good at making handle shapes. So I'm glad you said that, because
it feels great.
There's a lot of care into all these little details in this show.
It's well balanced. It's lightweight, and that's I like the sheath too.
Yeah, and the sheath, the problem with the sheaths are you're on a quad ride, whatever, it gets dusty.
Yeah.
You get stuff in your sheath, and it scratches your knife constantly. So these actually can disassemble. You can clean your knife, and they'll put it back together. And that's a big plus for me. When you get sand in your sheath, you'll know it.
Yeah. And it's just that's a great knife, made in the USA. So, Andrew, I really appreciate you. I know it's a busy show. We called you in probably from making some money somewhere. I really appreciate
It's okay.
it. But thanks again for taking a minute, and thank you for watching the Survival on Purpose coverage of the 2025 SHOT Show. I might have said 2024 at the beginning, but again, I already said it on the other videos. I'm really a big fan of Demko knives, and it was really great to have an opportunity to talk to Andrew Demko himself. So remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.